What's good, y'all? On this video today, we're going to talk about all of my recent L's that I've been taking in real estate. So I know y'all see a lot of content about, all the good going on in the deals, but, this year I've had deals that I lost too and things that I've learned through the deal. So this video is going to be about my L's that I've taken this year in real estate. So just recently I had a deal where shit really pissed me off, but I really could have made $30,000 in a day had this deal closed, but that's why you never count your chickens before they hatch. But I got this property under contract for $360. I listed it on the market. At first, I originally had it listed in the wrong MLS. What I did learn once you're doing Novations RPB is if you're going to use a flat fee listing service, make sure you can get it in the local MLS. So local MLS means that the local buyer's agents will be able to see the property on their MLS as far as the local buyer's agents. Now, if the agent is not looking outside of the local MLS, they won't be able to see your property if it's not in the local MLS. So I had this property and it was listed in the wrong MLS and it wasn't getting any showings or hits. And it was mainly because the deal wasn't getting the proper exposure because it wasn't in the local MLS. So once I realized that it wasn't in the local MLS, and I found this out because a buyer's agent had called me and they're like, hey, we see this deal, but I just also want to let you know that it's not in the local MLS. It should have been in, Mountain Lakes MLS. So I had to call the flat fee listing agent service and I'm like, hey, this deal is not in the right MLS. They're like, oh, actually it isn't in the right MLS. Sorry. So they fixed it. And once the deal actually got in the local MLS, that's when everything started rolling. And, I finally got a, request for showings. So this buyer came through. They, liked the property at first. They loved the interior, all this stuff. Everything was supposed to close. They made an offer. I accepted their offer at $385. So after everything was all said and done, I was supposed to make like $14.7, right? Sent the HUD out to me, sent the HUD out to the seller, sent the HUD out to everyone. We're getting ready to close. Tell me, y'all, why a week before closing, they back out. So they end up doing an inspection or whatever, some survey that they scheduled, and they said, well, yeah, it's a wood house, by the way. So they're like, yeah, the wood is going to need to get stained. This is going to need to be done. That's going to need to be done. The roof is original roof is eventually going to need a new roof. And they're like, based on all the things that is going to need to be in the future, they're not going to be able to afford it. They're using a VA loan. They're only approved for a certain amount on the VA loan, so they just felt like they weren't going to have enough to do what, maintenance needed to be done for the property in the future. So they did put in a clause on their contract that they could back out all the way out until closing. So they ended up backing out a week before closing. So everyone got sad. Seller got sad because, she's in the process of moving her stuff out. I'm sad because, I'm thinking that, I'm going to have a closing date coming up next week. And then I guess the couple was a little bit upset because they really wanted to get the house, but they just couldn't afford the house. That deal ended up, I lost that buyer, lost that deal. I ended up talking to the seller, so she gave me a chance to get a little bit more time to get the property sold. So I do have it currently on the market trying to get it sold right now. But I was really upset about that for losing out on that deal. That was pretty much damn near a $15,000 deal that I missed out on. So that's just one of the deals that I recently lost out on. I had another deal, it was a land deal in Weeki Wachee, Florida, that same thing. I got the property under contract, listed on the market, ended up getting a buyer, cash buyer, and then he did a survey on the property. Finally, the land survey came back 2 days before the closing. 48 hours, survey came back, and he found out he had easements on the property. Mind you, I didn't know what the hell an easement was, so I go on ChatGPT, I find out what an easement is. I asked the buyer's agent, how does this affect us? And, he was like, pretty much, it could affect him on being able to do things onto the property, if it was a utility easement or access easement, depending. Yeah, long story short, he ended up backing out the deal. Being the fact, due to the easements all around the property, he did not want to purchase the lot anymore. So that one, canceled. I lost that deal. That deal was supposed to be about a $5,000 deal. So I lost out on that. And then last but not least, as far as my L's, there's another deal that I had. This one was in North Carolina. I had this one under contract for $190. I listed on the market. Ended up getting an offer. I got the offer for $200. Something happened with the buyer's gift funds. They got frozen, so they had to delay the closing. It actually was good because since they had to delay the closing, I was able to renegotiate them up for a higher offer. So since they didn't close when we were supposed to, I told them that would still go with them, but the price would be $204. I got them to agree to $204. Sent it out, they signed it at $204. So now I just think I increased my commission to like $9,000. Right at closing day, y'all. Our seller signs the HUD, everything is good. My buyer signs the HUD, everything is good. They're trying to record and fund the deal. They can't record because he is using a loan, as well, and the loan had a red flag because his date of birth was wrong on his green card. So my buyer was an immigrant, coming into the States. He had a green card. The date of birth was wrong on the green card. Threw a red flag to the lender. They needed him to get that cleared first. Delayed the deal. Deal never closed. And what sucked about that deal is the seller was going to move into a house, but him moving into a house was contingent on this property selling, and it didn't, and it kind of messed him up on, having to go to his newer house. So I lost 3 deals. If you add it all up, $9,000 on one deal I lost, damn near $15,000 on another deal that I lost, like $5,000 on another deal that I lost. A lot of money in commissions lost, like $30,000 gone. That's why you can't count your chickens before they hatch, right? Until the deal is like closed and funded and recorded and the money is in your account, it's not a deal. A deal is not a deal until it's paid on. All right, so I want you guys to remember that while you're doing real estate. Like, just because you get a deal locked up, don't get happy. Just because you get an assignment contract signed, don't get happy. Just because you get an offer signed, don't get happy, okay? Until that deal is closed and it says recorded and funded, it is not a deal. The seller can sign the HUD. It's still not a deal. The buyer can sign the HUD. It's still not a deal. Until the deal is recorded and funded and you have the funds in your bank account, you have not closed the deal. So stop counting your chickens before they hatch. Stop thinking about your commissions and stop thinking about what you're about to do with the money before it's actually in your account. Keep your feet on the ground, right? Stay down. And you guys have to really build a pipeline, because luckily I had a pipeline of deals. I had multiple deals this month that was supposed to close. So even though I lost a few, I still had more, so I wasn't just dependent on one deal to close. Had I been dependent on just one of those deals to close, it could have messed me up, especially if you're dependent on that money to pay bills and do other stuff, it could really put you behind. So never count your eggs before they hatch. Don't count your chickens before they hatch. Never get mad at something that you never had, right? Really just stay down, and really do the process, and don't expect this to be all peaches and cream. There's things that are going to happen on a deal. There's things that are going to come up. And there's things that are going to be out of your control that you can't do nothing to stop. I did not know the guy's date of birth was going to be wrong. There's nothing that I could do about it. He just has to go to immigration, get it fixed. And unfortunately, we're going to have to wait for him to get that fixed, Like I said, y'all, real estate, it can be stressful, but it's a lot of upside too. Nothing is going to be perfect. That's anything in life, You're going to have trials and tribulations. You're going to have challenges that come up, but you just got to stay down and keep going, and you can't quit. I had all these 3 deals, all that money that I missed out on in potential commissions. Some people will quit after that, and they're like, you know what, can't take that, But no, I've closed a good amount of deals to know that I closed 10 deals before any deal started messing up, right? So that's a good ratio to have. I went 10-0 damn near before I had any problems on any deals. So now that I'm seeing problems on deals, I'm realizing, okay, there is things that can happen on deals, because it was too good to be true for these first 10 deals. I mean, it was pretty kosher. It was just pretty simple. But now that I'm seeing that things can happen on deals, things can come up, it's actually going to make me better. I'm going to learn from my mistakes. I'm going to learn what that I could have done better to prevent it. Like I said, some things are going to be out of your control where you can't prevent it. Some things can. Like, now I know what easements are. I can ask people that, my land deals, I can ask them if there are any easements on the property. If they don't know what an easement is, now I can educate them on what an easement is. So this is just a video I just wanted to, share to give you guys some gems, and keep going. This shit is not going to be easy, but you cannot quit. You got to keep going, and y'all definitely going, if you just stay down, trust me, it's going to be worth it, y'all. So I'll see y'all on the next video. At the top of the moon, slaughter out on the edge next to moon, fucking good, got it back up for more, yeah. Spend 10 racks.